Let's talk Rangers in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. If you missed my previous video back at the start of this series where I did like an hour-long video with timestamps covering the optional class features and you're wondering where those are, all the optional class features for every class are contained back in that video, so go check that out. Today we're going to be talking about the Fey Wanderer Ranger, but before I do that, I just wanted to say, hey, I do stream on Twitch. I'll switch it up. I've been talking about YouTube for a bit. I stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Wednesday night. It's D&D 5e gameplay. Tuesdays is my homebrew world, 3 weeks out of the month where I run it in my homebrew world with my friends. And then that last week is the same group of people, but I get to be a player and we play in an evil campaign. So if you wanted to see how that goes, we are about 30-ish or so episodes into that over a couple of years, so no issues there. And then on Wednesday, I stream, again, we play online with a bunch of my friends playing in a Rod of 7 Parts campaign, the 2nd edition adventure, updated to 5e, run by my friend Jordan, of Jordan with the silent PH in the middle. And I may be actually starting a Monday night stream with my wife and her friends. Some of them are brand new players and they want to play D&D and they're open to streaming and you guys seem interested. So link in the description to my Twitch channel, also links for giveaways to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. That being said, let's dive in here. So we have Unearthed Arcana on the right, Tasha's Cauldron on the left. So let's see what we get here. Well, we are going to get some magic. So our magic was originally Charm Person, Misty Step, Dispel Magic, Banishment, and Mislead. That is been changed out. The only difference is Banishment has been changed for Dimension Door. Interestingly enough, I've said it before, this is actually the only way a Ranger in 5th edition can get access to Dispel Magic as a spell. For whatever strange reason, Wizards of the Coast has chosen to give the only other true spellcasting class, the Ranger, not access to Dispel Magic when every other class that can cast spells, half-caster, full-caster, or otherwise, can get access to Dispel Magic with the exception of the Ranger other than this subclass. So there we go. Also, these count as Ranger spells for you. You don't count against your numbers of spells known, which is nice. And then we had our Feywild gifts here. Those look to pretty much be the same, but those are more flavor than anything else. All right, so we had what was originally called Dreadful Strikes up here, which Dreadful Strikes in the Unearthed Arcana was as a bonus action. You can imbue your weapons, weapon or weapons with magic. Until the end of the turn, the weapons are magical and they deal an extra d6 psychic damage on a hit. A creature can only take this damage once per turn. While engaging in 2-weapon fighting, you can imbue your weapons as part of the same bonus action you use to make the attack. So, let's see. Bonus action, imbue the weapon or weapons. And it does an extra d6 psychic damage on a hit, but each creature can only take that damage once per turn. So even if you have 2 weapons that are both imbued, you can't hit them both and take both damage, but you could split the damage up. And they nicely added that bit where if you are 2-weapon fighting, the bonus action you activate this, you can still attack, so you don't lose that. It has been changed, though, to be just a straight up, when you hit a creature with a weapon, you can deal an extra d4 psychic damage to the target. You can only take this extra damage once per turn, and it increases to a d6 when you reach 11th level in this class. That is no action to do it. It's just an always-on thing that you have. You can always just deal an extra d4 psychic damage when you hit a creature with a weapon. This could be a bow. This could be a sword. You don't have to imbue something. It's just every turn. Interestingly enough, this will stack with Hunter's Mark, right? Because it's dealing extra damage. Or if you decide to go with Favored Foe as that option, that also would work, and eventually scales up again to a d6 at level 11. This is also kind of, I think this was in the same Unearthed Arcana where we saw a bunch of stuff getting things at early levels. So this one actually gets 3 abilities at level 3. We saw Dreadful Strikes, we saw Fey Wanderer spells, and we have what was originally here, we had Cunning Will. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened and gain proficiency in either deception, performance, or persuasion. We now have this called Otherworldly Glamour. As a result, whenever you make a charisma check, you gain a bonus to that check equal to your wisdom modifier and proficiency in deception, performance, or persuasion. So obviously, as a ranger, you're going to probably want to prioritize wisdom as one of your higher stats for your spell casting. for your nature tracking, perception abilities. So now any charisma check you make will add your wisdom modifier to that number, which is pretty cool. Kind of, I guess, thematic, but I don't know if the advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. I think that might be mechanically a little bit better, but I guess if you're playing an elf, you can get the advantage against charm. I don't know. You tell me what you think. And then we're going to move on to what was level 7, was called Blessing of the Courts. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend a spell slot to deal extra psychic damage. The extra damage is 3d6, and they must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be frightened till the end of your next turn. Here it is. And when you make a charisma check, you gain a bonus equal to your wisdom modifier. So they just shifted that up to level 3. So this was interesting because this was basically, you didn't get access to it till level 7, but it was any spell slot you wanted. It didn't increase in damage, but it was essentially giving you a ranged smite ability, right? It's 3d6 psychic damage. Psychic damage is a pretty good type, not heavily resisted. But when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it was only once a turn as well, but that could have also been using Dreadful Strikes at the same time. And again, you could do this at max range with a bow and deal this, and it doesn't... The only other downside is if you spend a first level slot, it's no different than spending a third level slot. So let's see what Beguiling Twist is, because this is very different. Beguiling Twist is advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened, so we did get it eventually. In addition, whenever a creature you can see within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, you can use your reaction to force a creature you see within 120 feet to make a saving throw against your spell save DC. If it fails, that target is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for 1 minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on a success. So I'll be honest with you, I very much liked the ranged smite ability. It didn't really fit necessarily this Blessing of the Courts. I understand it's like a Fey court, and I get that, but I don't really think the extra damage made sense thematically. I like it very much mechanically because it's very good. I've always thought potentially that Rangers needed some... I never really landed on it, but I needed some sort of damage boost to kind of keep them in line with the Paladin being the other half caster, and that kind of helped out do that. But instead, we now have, again, we still got access to our advantage against Charmed or Frightened, but we can basically return a Charm or Frightened effect to another creature. So when a creature... whenever you are a creature within 120 feet, which is interesting on how this is worded, you are a creature within 120 feet succeeds on a saving throw against being charmed or frightened. So even if one of your allies is trying to charm an enemy monster and that enemy monster succeeds, well, they're a creature within 120 feet and they've succeeded on a charm or frightened saving throw, you can then use your reaction. It says to force a different creature, so you can't force the same one, but even if the enemies are succeeding against another caster's ability, you can flip it and try to get somebody else. Let's see, again, the saving throw for 1 minute, and they don't get, if you attack them or damage them, it doesn't break the charm or frightened, but they do get to make the save at the end of their turns. Then we had what was originally called Beguiling Twist, which is what we just saw, the 7th level ability. That was originally the 11th level ability, and I think it's the same. Whenever a creature you can see within 120 feet succeeds on a saving throw, force a different creature to make it. And you got to do one of the following 2 effects. They're charmed or frightened for you by a minute, for a minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of the turn, or you could choose to deal 3d10 psychic damage. I actually kind of preferred that a little bit better. It was basically the entire ability we just read with you being able to flip a charm or frightened effect to someone else, or instead of doing that, you could just choose instead to just give them 3d10 psychic damage. And I liked that I thought that, again, mechanically fit very well with the Blessing of the Court's ability, dealing extra psychic damage. Excuse me. But they cut that. So now we have at level 11 Fey Reinforcements. The Royal Courts of the Feywild have blessed you with the assistance of Fey beings. You now know the Summon Fey spell contained in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It does not count against the number of Ranger spells you know, and you can cast it without a material component. You can also cast it once without a spell slot and regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. So it's just added to your spell list, another additional spell option for you. And it also says when you start casting the spell, you can modify it so that it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the duration becomes a minute for that casting. So I'm not going to dive into this too much because we're going to do a spells video after. but it originally is an action casting with a duration of concentration for an hour. So you're instead removing concentration and cutting this down to a minute, and in doing so, it becomes combat viable. And lastly, we had a level 15 in the Unearthed Arcana Misty Presence. You gain a bonus action that you can use to force a creature within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failure, the target can't see or hear you for 24 hours. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of any turn during which you hit it with an attack roll, force it to make a saving throw, or deal damage to it. The effect ends early if you can use this bonus action again. On a successful save, they're immune for 7 days. Once you use this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or expend a 4th level slot to gain access to it again. That has changed significantly as well. You can now cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. You can do this wisdom modifier times per long rest. In addition, whenever you cast Misty Step, you can bring someone within 5 feet along with you. I don't like this ability. If you're going to give me Misty Step, a 2nd level spell at level 15, just give it to me forever. I can cast it at, without... The fact that it's also, again, another one of these abilities where they kept it as wisdom modifier, and we didn't even have this as wisdom modifier originally. They could have made this proficiency bonus. You're getting access to this at level 15, so it would be 5 times already anyway. But they made it wisdom modifier. I get it. It's Misty Wanderer. It's kind of mists as sort of a theme for this, even though it's Fey. I don't know why mists became so important to it. Yeah, I don't really care about a free 5 potential, if I have a 20 wisdom, castings of a 2nd level spell at level 15. Yes, being able to take somebody with it is nice, but I also have access to Dimension Door from this class, which is arguably way better. Yes, limited spell slot usage, I agree, but if you're gonna make Misty Step my 15th level class feature, just say that I can cast it without expending a spell slot, period, I think. Is that really gonna break the game if I can cast a Misty Step as a bonus action every turn? I'm a ranger. I have a lot of things I can do with my bonus action, right? I have, it's casting Hunter's Mark, it's casting any kind of damaging spells, it's commanding my summoned Fey creature to do things, whatever else. I think that's how that summon Fey works. But either way, I think Misty Step as a bonus, I think Misty Step, just a few free Misty Steps. This could have come a lot earlier. If this was my 7th level ability, that I'd be okay with, because I just got access to my 2nd level spells. 5 free Misty Steps could be huge, and that would be a big function of the class. Maybe give me advantage on Charm and Frightened, and then this Misty Step ability at level 7, maybe, and then maybe bump up the Summon Fey one to 15, and give the returning, flipping around the Charm or Frightened, put that at 11 like it was originally, and give back the psychic damage. I didn't actually, I read through this when it first came out, and I thought, I definitely think I like the Swarm Keeper a lot better. This one's okay. It has some good spells. It has that extra free damage at level 3, plus the extra proficiencies and stuff. And I like the advantage on, Charm or Frightened. But yeah, I think the Misty Step ability is really cool if it comes a lot earlier, so that your, Misty Step is more useful as soon as you get it. Not saying that Misty Step isn't useful, but I think it should come earlier. And I'm a little bummed that they lost out on some of the damaging abilities, right? Like I don't think it was a huge deal if you happen to be in the scenario where someone is casting a Charm or Frightened, and then someone succeeds, and you happen to be able to pick somebody else and then flip it to them, and then on top of that, they happen to fail the Wisdom saving throw. I think being able to just choose to deal 3d10 psychic damage to them or Charm or Frighten them isn't that big of a deal, so I probably would have kept that in as well. And I'm a little bummed because the sort of ranged smite ability of Blessing of the Courts was really cool, and I like that, and instead, we have some free Misty Steps. I don't know, maybe I'm way off base on this. You all know I'm not a huge Ranger fan in 5e, but I do like the Swarm Keeper, so we'll talk about that in the next video, and I will see you all next time.